Hello friends, today we are going to show you amazing historical photos of New York City buildings that no longer exist. New York City is constantly being rebuilt. The constantly and rapidly rising cost of land has forced the city to build more and more high-rise buildings. In the 19th and 20th centuries, dozens of beautiful old buildings were torn down to make way for new construction. This continued until 1966, when the National Historic Preservation Act was passed, allowing for federal protection of historic buildings. Enjoy your viewing pleasure! The Ziegfeld Theater at 54th Street and 6th Avenue opened in 1927 with a performance at the Rio Rita. It was demolished in 1966 to make way for a skyscraper. The Brooklyn Bank Building was completed in Brooklyn Heights in 1894. It was declared an architectural masterpiece at the time and stood until 1964. The New York World, New York Tribune, and New York Times newspaper news buildings were located near City Hall. The buildings were demolished in 1955 and 1966, respectively. The synagogue was built in 1867 at 43rd Street and 5th Avenue. The building was demolished in 1926. Richmond Hill. It was purchased by Aaron Burr in 1794 and demolished in 1849. The impressive Disciples Church, located at 45th Street and Madison Avenue. It was built in 1873, but was demolished in 1899. Levi Sun Stadium opened on the campus of the City College of New York in 1915 and was demolished in 1973 to make way for a new training center. The Vanderbilt family built a series of mansions on 5th Avenue in 1880. The house in the photo was located at 57th Street and 5th Avenue, owned by Cornelius Vanderbilt II. It was the largest mansion built in Manhattan. Triple Palace, a series of townhouses also built for members of the Vanderbilt family, were located just south of 5th Avenue. They were demolished in 1940. The Samuel Osgood House was the first presidential mansion where George Washington lived for 2 years when New York City was the capital of the United States. It was dismantled in 1856. The original Penn Station was built in 1910, was sold and demolished in 1962 to make way for a larger railway station and Madison Square Garden. The luxurious apartments in the Navarro Building near Central Park were built in 1882. In 1926, the building was sold and demolished. The New York Jail building, which also housed the courts and police, was built in 1838, but the foundation was weak and the building began to sag. It was rebuilt in 1902 and later demolished in 1974. The mansion, built for Senator William Clark on Fifth Avenue in 1897, boasted 25 bedrooms and 35 servants' quarters. The building was demolished in the late 1920s. The Astor House Hotel was built in 1836 in Lower Manhattan and was considered the finest hotel in America. Abraham Lincoln was among its guests. In 1913, the house was demolished. Temple Beth El was built in 1891 at the corner of 76th Street and Fifth Avenue. The building was sold in 1945 and was demolished to make way for a residential building. Steel magnate Charles Schwab built an expensive 75-room mansion on Riverside Drive that was completed in 1905. The house was demolished in 1948. This house was built in 1884 at 68th and Madison Avenue for the president of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It was demolished in 1912 to make way for an apartment building. The original Waldorf Astoria Hotel building was built in 1897. The house was demolished in 1929 to make way for the construction of the Empire State Building. Victory Arch was erected near Madison Square Park in 1919 after the end of the First World War. It was a temporary structure built of wood.